would like to say that I'm fully confident that in the end...
Most of the time, we think celebrities and public figures are perfect with no flaws. Newsflash. Many of them are worse than your regular neighbor, who you thought was the most promiscuous person you have ever known. In this video, we will look at the 15 biggest nymphos, that is, women who were unashamedly dependent on S*X in Golden Age Hollywood. Number 15, Marilyn Monroe.
I'm fully confident that in the end my husband will win this case.
When people think of S*X symbols from Hollywood's Golden Age, Marilyn Monroe is the first name that comes to mind. Born Norma Jean Mortensen in 1926, she rose from a troubled childhood in foster homes to become the most iconic blonde in film history. With her sultry voice, curves, and that contagious smile, Marilyn starred in classics like Some Like It Hot, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and The 7-Year Itch. She had that rare mix of innocence and raw sexuality that left audiences captivated and Hollywood directors obsessed. However, Marilyn was a deeply sensual woman who made her own choices, even if society wasn't ready for her freedom. Her love life was a whirlwind of passion, heartbreak, and mystery. Like many women of her caliber, she married 3 times, first to James Dougherty, then baseball legend Joe DiMaggio, and later playwright Arthur Miller. Each relationship had its share of drama, but none could tame her spirit. Vanity Fair once said, Marilyn Monroe didn't just play S*XY, she was S*XY with a kind of freedom that scares the world. Marilyn was also famously linked to several powerful men, including Frank Sinatra and, most controversially, President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert. These alleged affairs only added to the tales of promiscuity surrounding her life and untimely demise at age 36. Number 14, Mata Hari. Mata Hari wasn't your typical Hollywood starlet. She wasn't a Hollywood star at all. However, her story is just too wild and seductive to leave out. Born Margaretha Geertruida Zell in the Netherlands in 1876, she transformed herself into Mata Hari, an exotic dancer who became the toast of Europe in the early 1900s. She claimed to be a Javanese princess trained in sacred Eastern dance, and audiences fell for the mystique and her bare-all performances. Although she technically belonged to the pre-Golden Age era, her lifestyle exuded Hollywood glamour, drama, and a trail of powerful lovers. Mata Hari used her beauty and sensuality like a weapon. She bedded military officers, diplomats, and aristocrats across Europe, French, German, Russian, you name it. Many of them were married, most were enchanted. At least one betrayed her. During World War I, she was accused of being a double agent, spying for Germany while living in France. She insisted she was just a woman who loved men, but the French didn't buy it. In 1971, she was arrested, tried, and executed by firing squad. Right before her demise, she reportedly refused a blindfold and stared her executioners down. What a bold woman she was. Number 13, Isadora Duncan. Many people remember Isadora Duncan as a dancer. She was a force of nature. Born in San Francisco in 1877, she tore through the stiff, rule-bound world of ballet and replaced it with something raw and scandalous. She was the mother of modern dance, and every move she made on stage or in bed screamed rebellion. Duncan lived free and loved freely. She had no time for corsets, conventions, or the idea that women should sit still and behave. Instead, she wore flowing tunics, danced with abandon, and famously declared, "You were once wild here, don't let them tame you." Her lovers included poets, painters, actors, and aristocrats. She wasn't shy about her passions. She had affairs with stage designer Gordon Craig, millionaire Paris singer of the sewing machine empire, and Russian poet Sergei Yesenin. This troubled younger man married her before spiraling into madness. Duncan didn't care what society thought. She had children outside of marriage and openly pursued relationships with men and women. Her life was filled with drama, beauty, and tragedy. She lost her 2 children in a horrific car accident and later lost her life in an accident when her signature long scarf got caught in the wheel of a moving car. To her, S*X wasn't taboo. It was an expression of a kind. Number 12, Joan Crawford.
We could not say she found her husband in bed with another woman.
Joan Crawford was a force of nature. With those piercing eyes, strong jawline, and commanding presence, Crawford ruled the Golden Age with talent and hunger for fame, power, and, as many have noted, passionate companionship. Born Lucille Fay Lesueur, she danced her way up from chorus girl roles to become one of MGM's biggest stars in the 1930s. Her standout performances in Mildred Pierce, for which she won an Oscar, possessed and humoresque, showcased her emotional range and iron-willed resilience. However, Joan was equally legendary for her many love affairs. She married 4 times to actors Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Francho Tone, and Philip Terry, and later to Pepsi-Cola executive Alfred Steele. Yet those marriages only scratched the surface. Crawford was widely rumored to have been involved with a string of Hollywood's most powerful and handsome men, including Clark Gable, whom she reportedly referred to as the love of her life. She was also rumored to have had flings with James Stewart, Spencer Tracy, and even a young John F. Kennedy. Her lovers weren't limited to just men either. Whispered stories in Hollywood often linked her to women like Marilyn Monroe and Barbara Stanwyck, though these accounts remain speculative and were fueled by Crawford's mysterious allure. Joan Crawford passed away in 1970 at the age of 73 from a heart attack. In her later years, her reputation took a hit due to her daughter Christina's scathing memoir Mommy Dearest, which painted Joan as abusive and controlling. Number 11. Lola Montez. Before Hollywood even existed, there was Lola Montez, the original femme fatale, who turned seduction into an art form long before the Golden Age rolled around. Born Eliza Rosanna Gilbert in Ireland in 1821, she reinvented herself as Lola Montez, a Spanish dancer of exotic flair. With a whip-smart mind and fiery temper, she dazzled audiences and captivated powerful men wherever she went. Lola was known not only for her dancing, but for her fearless personality and string of scandalous affairs. She took lovers like other women took tea, yes, frequently, and without regret. Among her most famous conquests was none other than King Ludwig I of Bavaria. So deep was his obsession that he bestowed upon her the title Countess of Landsfeld and granted her significant influence in his court. Her political meddling ultimately led to his abdication. However, that was only one chapter. Lola also reportedly had affairs with renowned composers Franz Liszt and Gioacchino Rossini, as well as writers Alexandre Dumas and Victor Hugo, and with adventurers, soldiers, and nobility across Europe and America. She was bold, confrontational, and utterly magnetic, a woman who refused to be owned by any man, even those who tried to put her on a pedestal. Eventually, she made her way to the United States, where she toured as an actress and lecturer, often performing in saloons and theaters across the Wild West. She was one of the few women of her time who not only owned her sexuality but built an entire public persona around it. She was scandalous, sensational, and scandalously ahead of her time. Lola Montez passed away in 1861 at just 39 years old after suffering a stroke brought on by complications from syphilis. Number 10. Pauline Bonaparte. Pauline Bonaparte was the sister of Napoleon Bonaparte and arguably the most sexually liberated woman of her time. Born in 1780 in Corsica, Pauline wasn't just royalty by blood, she was royalty in the realm of seduction. Pauline's beauty was out of this world. Even artists were obsessed. Most notably, Italian sculptor Antonio Canova immortalized her in a semi-nude marble sculpture as Venus Victrix, casually reclining with barely a sheet over her body. That's just how Pauline liked it, naked and worshipped. She married twice, first to French General Charles Leclerc and later to Italian nobleman Prince Camillo Borghese. However, monogamy, that wasn't her style. Pauline's flings were as frequent as her costume changes. She was rumored to have lovers from all ranks: soldiers, artists, diplomats, servants, anyone who caught her fancy. According to historians, she often entertained multiple lovers at once, sometimes even on the same day. Guess what? She didn't bother hiding it. Her outrageous behavior was a constant source of embarrassment to her more politically minded brother Napoleon. However, he adored her and often turned a blind eye to her escapades, though he once reportedly told her, "Try to behave, at least in public." Pauline had a wild sense of humor and wasn't above flaunting her sexuality. She once claimed that sleeping with her was like sleeping with a goddess. She also enjoyed being bathed and attended to by young, handsome male servants, some of whom doubled as her lovers. Despite her scandalous reputation, Pauline was deeply loyal to her family. After Napoleon was exiled to Elba, she was the only sibling who visited and supported him, selling her jewelry to finance his return to power. Number 9. Virginia Olduini. Virginia Olduini, better known as the Countess of Castiglione, was a stunning Italian aristocrat born in 1837 who became one of history's most captivating and scandalous figures. She was renowned for her beauty and her daring lifestyle. Virginia was considered one of the original it girls long before Hollywood existed. She was a master of using her charm, wit, and sexuality as tools for power and influence in European high society. Virginia's talents went beyond her looks. She was an early pioneer in the art of photography, using it to craft an alluring public image. She worked closely with renowned photographers of her time, especially Pierre-Louis Pierson, to create dozens of provocative portraits that blurred the lines between art and eroticism. These photos were so ahead of their time that The Guardian described her as the first modern muse, using photography to seduce and manipulate. As a countess and a courtesan, Virginia was known for her many romantic affairs with influential men, including emperors, politicians, and artists. Her most famous liaison was with Napoleon III of France, whom she captivated not only with her beauty, but also with her intelligence and bold personality. Her relationships often blurred the lines between power, passion, and political intrigue, making her a pivotal figure in European society. Virginia's scandalous reputation was closely tied to her refusal to conform to social norms. She lived freely and proudly regardless of societal judgment, much like the Hollywood nymphos of later eras. She used her allure to gain influence and manipulate powerful men as she embraced her sexuality as a form of empowerment. Unfortunately, Virginia's later years were filled with loneliness and decline. After the fall of Napoleon III, her influence waned, and she lived in relative obscurity until she passed away in 1899. Despite her tragic end, her legacy as a bold, independent, and sexually liberated woman could not in any way be denied. Number 8. Barbara Lamar. Barbara Lamar was one of Hollywood's most famous actresses and screenwriters, known as much for her dazzling beauty and wild lifestyle as for her talent. Born Ratha Dale Watson in 1896, Barbara became known as the Roaring Twenties liberated woman, living fast and freely, often defying the era's strict moral codes. Her nickname was the girl who was too beautiful, and she certainly lived up to that reputation. Barbara's Hollywood career was impressive but brief. She appeared in over 30 silent films with notable roles in The Young Raja of 1922, alongside Rudolph Valentino and The Prisoner of Zenda. Beyond acting, she was also a talented screenwriter, credited with several scripts that contributed to the development of early cinema. Despite her success, Barbara's off-screen life was where the real drama unfolded. She was infamous for her passionate affairs and multiple marriages. She had 5 husbands in just 8 years, which included actors and wealthy men. Barbara was known to party hard, indulge in drinking, and maintain a jet-set lifestyle that made headlines. Her intense love life and reputation as a nympho were part of her allure, but also contributed to her downfall. Barbara's beauty and wild lifestyle came at a cost. Years of excessive partying took a toll on her health, and by the age of just 29, she was battling tuberculosis and nephritis. She passed away in 1926 at the height of her fame. The Los Angeles Times described her demise as a tragic end to a dazzling life that burned too brightly and too fast. Despite her short life, Barbara Lamar left a lasting mark on Hollywood's golden age. Number 7. Lupe Velez. Lupe Velez was one of the most vibrant and fiery actresses of Hollywood's golden age. Born in 1908 in Mexico, she brought a passionate energy to the screen that earned her the nickname the Mexican Spitfire. Known for her lively personality and comedic timing, Lupe starred in dozens of films during the 1920s and 1930s, including popular hits like The Gaucho with Douglas Fairbanks and Hot Pepper. She was one of the first Latina actresses to make a major impact in Hollywood, breaking stereotypes with her bold and charismatic performances. Lupe's talent was undeniable. She could light up the screen with charm and sass. She often played spirited, independent women who knew exactly what they wanted, which matched her fiery, real-life personality. Hollywood magazines of the time praised her vivacity, with Photoplay calling her a breath of fresh, tropical air in the often staid world of early film. However, Lupe's passionate nature wasn't limited to acting. Off-screen, she was known for her intense love life. She had high-profile relationships with several famous men, including actor Johnny Weissmuller, famed for playing Tarzan, actor Gary Cooper, and even the heavyweight boxing champion Jack Dempsey. Lupe lived freely and boldly, unapologetically following her heart during a time when women's sexuality was heavily judged. Tragically, her life was cut short. At only 36 years old, Lupe Velez passed away in 1944. Reports at the time suggested she was devastated by a broken relationship and struggling with depression. Some sources say her demise shocked Hollywood and brought attention to the hidden pains behind glamorous lives. The media coverage was sensational and mournful, as they couldn't help but remember her as a bright star gone too soon. Number 6. Rita Hayworth.
Small roles when I was very, very young, until
Rita Hayworth was one of the most iconic stars of Hollywood's golden age, known for her stunning beauty, sultry screen presence, and unforgettable dance moves. Born Margarita Carmen Cancino in 1918, she reinvented herself to become the glamorous Rita Hayworth, a name that soon became synonymous with sensuality and allure. She rose to fame with films like Gilda in 1946, where her performance as a seductive nightclub singer remains legendary. Rita was a talented actress and dancer, often praised for her charisma and ability to captivate audiences with just a glance. In her heyday, she was considered one of the most beautiful women in the world, gracing magazine covers and becoming a favorite pin-up girl for soldiers during World War II. According to the New York Times, her performance in Gilda made her the ultimate femme fatale, a role that defined Hollywood's image of the sultry, complicated woman. However, behind the glamorous facade, Rita's personal life was full of drama and passion. She was married 5 times, including to the famous dancer and actor Orson Welles and the popular film star Prince Ali Khan. Her marriages were often stormy, reflecting her intense and passionate nature. She was known for living life on her terms, unafraid of societal judgment, and her relationships made headlines just as much as her films. Rita's life took a tragic turn in later years when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, a fact that was kept secret for some time to protect her privacy. She passed away in 1987 at the age of 68. Her demise brought more public awareness to Alzheimer's by helping to spark conversations about the disease. To date, Rita Hayworth's legacy endures. She was that girl who broke the mold with her fiery spirit, powerful talent, and willingness to live freely despite the pressures of fame. Number 5. Lily Brooks. Lily Brooks was a captivating figure in the golden age of Hollywood. Though not as famous as some of her contemporaries, she embodied the free-spirited lifestyle and boldness that defined many of the era's most notorious women. Lily was known for her striking beauty, sharp wit, and a sensual aura that drew the attention of many Hollywood elite. While her filmography was modest, Brooks made a strong impression with a handful of notable roles in dramas and thrillers, showcasing her talent as an actress. Hollywood insiders often spoke about her magnetic personality and unrestrained approach to life and relationships. She wasn't afraid to break the mold and challenge societal expectations about women's sexuality during the 1940s and 50s, a time when discretion was often demanded. Lily's personal life was filled with high-profile romances and scandalous affairs. She was linked to several famous actors, producers, and musicians, living a life that many could only dream of but few dared to openly embrace. Her love affairs were often passionate and tumultuous. They captured the fascination of the press and the public. These relationships, whether fleeting flings or serious involvements, made her a symbol of rebellion against Hollywood's more conservative norms. Unfortunately, Lily's life was cut short under mysterious circumstances. Reports suggest she struggled with the pressures of fame and the darker side of Hollywood's glitz. Her untimely death left many questions unanswered, but etched her name in the history of Hollywood's most free-spirited and uninhibited women. Although Lily Brooks never achieved the mega-stardom of Marilyn Monroe or Rita Hayworth, her story embodies the essence of Golden Age Hollywood's nymphomaniacs, women who were not afraid to live boldly, loved passionately, and refused to be confined by society's judgment. Number 4. Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield was one of the most famous S*X symbols of the Golden Age Hollywood era, known not just for her voluptuous figure but also for her uninhibited lifestyle. Born in 1933, Mansfield quickly rose to fame in the 1950s and early 1960s with her roles in films like The Girl Can't Help It in 1956 and Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter. Her talent was often overshadowed by her public persona, a vivacious, sensual woman who captivated audiences and tabloids alike. However, Jane Mansfield's private life was as dramatic as her on-screen presence. She was famously involved with numerous men, including Hollywood stars, musicians, and powerful businessmen. She married 3 times, first to Paul Mansfield, then to actor Mickey Hargitay, and finally to actor Matt Cimber. Her relationships were passionate and highly publicized, embodying the free-spirited sexual freedom of the era. Mansfield was not shy about her sexuality, often using it to her advantage professionally and personally, much like the other nymphos of her time. Her lifestyle, however, came with its share of risks. Mansfield faced constant media scrutiny, and rumors of wild parties and affairs were never far from the headlines. Despite the controversies, she remained a beloved figure in pop culture and was admired for living boldly in an era that often suppressed female sexuality. Tragically, Jane Mansfield's life was cut short in a car accident in 1967 at just 34 years old. The crash was devastating, and her untimely death shocked Hollywood and her fans worldwide. Her death became part of Hollywood lore. Jane Mansfield remains an important figure who lived unapologetically by embodying the spirit of the nymphos of Golden Age Hollywood. Without a doubt, she was one of those women who defied societal judgment and openly and fiercely embraced their desires. Number 3. Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow was one of Hollywood's original blonde bombshells, famous for her sultry looks and her captivating screen presence, which she wielded with reckless abandon, and a persona that defied the conservative norms of her time. Born Harley Harlow Carpenter in 1911, she quickly rose to stardom during the early 1930s, becoming a symbol of the liberated, sexy woman in an era when society was still adjusting to new ideas about female independence and sexuality. Harlow's talent was more than her looks. She was a gifted comedic actress with impeccable timing, often playing sharp, witty characters who used their charm to achieve their goals. She starred in a string of hits, including Platinum Blonde in 1931, Red Dust in 1932 alongside Clark Gable, and Dinner at 8 in 1933. Critics praised her for blending sensuality with humor, making her one of the most bankable actresses of the pre-code Hollywood era. Her on-screen charisma made her a favorite of directors and audiences alike. Off-screen, Jean Harlow was just as bold. Known for her numerous high-profile relationships and marriages, she lived her life freely at a time when such openness was frowned upon. She was married 3 times, including to actor Paul Byrne and later Harold Rawson, a cinematographer. Her rumored affairs with stars such as Clark Gable and William Powell contributed to her scandalous reputation. As a result, tabloids couldn't stop featuring her in their columns as their readers had become enchanted by her. Sadly, Jean Harlow's life was tragically short. At just 26 years old, she passed away suddenly in 1937 from kidney failure caused by acute nephritis. Her demise shocked Hollywood and her fans worldwide, cutting short a promising career that had already made her a legend. The media widely covered her passing, with many lamenting the loss of a star who had redefined what it meant to be a glamorous and liberated woman on and off the screen. Jean Harlow's legacy lives on as a pioneer of sexual freedom in Hollywood, inspiring countless actresses who followed. Despite her brief life, she left an unforgettable mark on the entertainment industry as a woman who lived unapologetically and captivated the world with her charm and talent. Number 2. Mabel Normand. Mabel Normand was one of the most beloved actresses and comedians of the silent film era. She was known for her playful charm, quick wit, and fearless approach to her career and personal life. Born in 1892, Mabel was a true trailblazer in early Hollywood, starring in over 150 films and helping to shape the comedy genre alongside legends like Charlie Chaplin and Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle. Normand's natural comedic timing and bubbly personality made her a star in the 1910s and 1920s. She was one of the first female comedy leads and also worked as a writer and director, an impressive feat for a woman in an industry dominated by men. Some of her most memorable films include Mabel's Strange Predicament in 1914, Fatty and Mabel Adrift in 1916, and Mickey in 1918. She was the original female comedic force, often portraying spirited, independent women who weren't afraid to bend the rules or challenge societal norms. Off the screen, Mabel's life was just as scandalous as her on-screen characters. She was known for her many relationships with powerful men in Hollywood, including the infamous Roscoe Arbuckle and director Max Sennett, who gave her big break. Rumors swirled about her love affairs, and her personal life was often under media scrutiny. Despite this, Mabel was unapologetically herself, living freely in a time when women were expected to be more reserved and proper. Tragically, Mabel's life was cut short by tuberculosis. She battled the disease for several years, and it eventually led to her demise in 1930 at just 37 years old. Her early demise added a melancholy chapter to her legacy, but it didn't diminish the impact she had on Hollywood. Today, she is remembered as a pioneering star who helped lay the foundation for female comedians and independent women in film. Mabel Normand's fearless spirit and vivacious personality made her one of the most captivating figures of the Golden Age. This woman lived on her terms and left a lasting impression on Hollywood history. Number 1. Mae West. Mae West was one of Hollywood's most iconic and provocative figures, known for her S*XY voice, sharp wit, and unapologetic approach to sexuality. Born in 1893, Mae emerged from vaudeville and Broadway to become a major film star in the 1930s, captivating audiences with her bold and often risque humor. At a time when Hollywood was tightly controlled by censorship, Mae pushed the boundaries with her double entendres and unapologetic confidence. Mae West's talent wasn't just in acting. She was also a gifted playwright and screenwriter. Some of her most famous films include She Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel, both of which were released in 1993, showcasing her trademark mixture of comedy, sensuality, and empowerment. Her ability to combine humor with sexuality made her an unforgettable figure in Hollywood, and she became one of the highest-paid actresses of her time. Her persona extended far beyond the screen. Mae West was open about her sexuality and relationships during an era when such openness was almost taboo, especially for women. She was known to have numerous relationships with men and women, living life on her terms without concern for societal judgment. Her boldness challenged the conservative values of the time and paved the way for future generations of women to express their sexuality freely. Mae West's romantic life was colorful and frequently discussed. Although she was married for only a brief period, she had numerous affairs and relationships with influential men, including actor George Raft and playwright John Barrymore. Her love life, like her films, was marked by a fearless embrace of desire and pleasure. Mae West lived a long life, passing away in 1980 at the age of 87. Despite facing criticism and censorship early in her career, she left behind a legacy of empowerment and S**exual freedom. The Los Angeles Times once called her the embodiment of the liberated woman, and her influence can still be felt in Hollywood and pop culture today. What do you think of these women? Do you think they are just bold and non-conforming, or should they have toned it down? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.